get to it. Let's get to it. What is going on, everybody? It's Community Beacon. It's Friday. What's the
It's
20th?
Friday.
It's the 20th.
Yes.
Beautiful day outside. Well, I know I'm in sunny South Florida. Well, the brother can tell us his location uh, afterwards. Probably in South Florida too, but I don't want to assume. Okay, well, it is South Florida. I'm Mike Seville, your real estate guy here in South Florida, and of course, on the other side of the screen, uh, this is this way. I got my brother from another mother, the Joe Simmons of the Tenacity Foundation. What is going on, brother?
Hey, man. It is the holiday season, Christmas season, and I'm grateful. Very, very grateful. It's been a very, very successful few days. Oh my gosh. Very successful. A
What does
lot
that
of
mean?
movement, robust. We have been making, I've been making, my team has been making tremendous steps forward in the appropriate direction. You know how you can feel when it's the right direction. It's like because everything that you're doing is aligning with your vision, with your mission. And it's like that it showed up right on time. It just showed up right on time. And so lots of alignment, lots of broadening the network and being a help to other people. Oh my goodness, it's just been such a blessing, man. It's been such a blessing just to watch these things unravel and the possibilities of the future grow in every single conversation. And so, listen, I'm exhausted. We were just talking about how I need to take a break on my calendar right now. I have come over to my parents' house to come help them do a few things during this season. And every time I've gotten here, I end up falling asleep on the couch for 15 to 45 minutes before I help them do anything else. I mean, they're talking with me. I'm just like, "Yeah, give me one, give me one. I'll be back."
Right.
But I'm very grateful, man. Very grateful, enjoying life. I think that that means everything. So I'd much rather be tired doing what I love to do than to be tired chasing something that I don't want
Mm,
to be a part of.
chasing message. I love it. I love it. And so we're getting on here. Don't know how long we're gonna stay. Um, it's Christmas,
It's
right? So
Christmas, y'all. What's going on with you? Tell me what's happening over there
we-
in the Michael Seville
so
residence.
you see the Christmas tree is up.
I
So
see it, man. Every year you move your camera, you go out of the studio and you go into the living room.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's Christmas. The Christmas tree is up. I'm gonna tell you something just from my purview, and just a quick story. Was a long time ago. It seems that way, anyways. I was working for the city, and I would always, you had what they had, use it or lose it. Basically, you had to use up
Mm,
your time, or you would lose at the end of the year. They wouldn't pay you for it. So the city job was so easy to me. Like it was so easy. I never took days off. It was no reason for me to take a day off until it was time to use this time.
mm,
And I remember, I mean, it was early. I'd have like 2, 3 weeks off for Christmas vacation. So I started off at like, December 2nd or something. And I go out and I walk around and I see people like shopping, in the middle of the day. It's season in Palm Beach now, so we have a lot more traffic. We get a lot more residents coming in. I want to say, I'm not going to give the number, but it increases. Our population increases exponentially during the season, which tends to happen between November, like possibly right after Thanksgiving. Oftentimes they get here, kind of before Thanksgiving and up until around March, April. April is really the cutoff for season. So now we start to see an influx of people, and they're coming from up north, and they're not really working here, right? So they're always out and about, they're always doing things, and I've always enjoyed that. And so I said, well, why can't I just have like the feeling of Christmas year round. Shouts out to Jomer. Uh, what's going on, brother? Advance Merry Christmas. Yeah. Um, I've decided at that point in time that I wanted to live my life like that year round. So besides really the Christmas tree going up, it really doesn't really change for me, right? I see other people are getting in the so-called, you know, Christmas spirit, the holiday spirit, but I kind of feel that way like year round. I mean, I don't wait until Christmas to
Mm.
get gifts for myself. And my birthday is right the day before Christmas, so maybe that enhances it as well. And I don't wait to give my kids their gifts, right? So I gave Paul his gift last week. You know, Elijah has been getting gifts since I don't even think he knows the difference between a gift and not, unless you wrap it, because he constantly
Mm.
gets things throughout the year. Things that I think he deserves. Some things maybe he doesn't deserve, but he gets them anyways. But that's the life of my firstborn. So I've just been enjoying it. I've been enjoying it on other people's. I've enjoyed seeing other people enjoy it. It's a time for us to do what some people do, traditions, and get around family, and it's just a joy as far as I'm concerned.
I love that, man. I love that. And let's use that as a segue into today's conversation, right? Um, traditions, man, because it sounds like this may not be a tradition that you're creating with your children, but it sounds like if you're doing that every single year, it could be considered a tradition sometime down the road. Just the way that you look at Christmas right now with your kids and how you do Christmas. I mean, what do you think about that? Because I'm interested to hear more about that, and I'm wondering even if you've had a conversation with your boys about how they view Christmas and yeah, tell me some more about that thing.
I mean,
Got
I don't. I think for my mother it was a tradition. So when my mother was around, there was every year she would bake her cakes, and every year she made a big deal out of Christmas. I just personally don't. It doesn't matter to me. So I can't really t- explain to someone else like what they do in regards to their children. A lot of you all know I went through the family court situation this year as well. So one of the things we have is that during the Christmas vacation, we get to split it. So this, one year the mother has them for the first half of Christmas. Another year, I have them for the first half, and we flip flop, so on and so forth. So now there's entering, and I'm reading off of some of the things we would discuss. This is like, so what's going on with the modern family? Well, I think the modern family, as we move forward, there's really it's a different kind of family unit, excuse me. So I haven't really grasped like what exactly I'm going to do, since it's flip flops on and off in regards to what exactly we're doing for Christmas, especially since may not necessarily have both of them at the same time. But eventually, well, I think for the traditional family, I think it's very important for you to have these different landmarks. I think for the non-traditional family, like what I have going on here, is that we get it in when we can. I'm a firm believer in not necessarily having to wait for these days to make it a special occasion. So really it's about family all the time, you know, being present all the time and not waiting. Because to me at this point, it almost seems as if it's a New Year's resolution kind of thing. So I'm not
Mm.
making these big deals about it. I'm not going to church because it's Christmas time or Easter time, because that's the time that we're supposed to do it. I'm just being present at all times, and I'm doing what is right at the time. So, that's kind of how I see it. I'm not really um focused on that. You mentioned a couple of things, and this is kind of what I wanted to talk about as we talked in regards to this. The season of giving and gratitude is about giving to oneself. And you mentioned a couple of things that perked up my ears, because I was thinking about the same thing as well, was giving oneself the peace of joy, or
Mm.
joy, as a gift during this time and just year round. I gave I give myself that year round. I think giving yourself peace year round. And if you don't have a year round, then definitely take this time out to give yourself some peace. Give yourself the gift of love year round. But if you're not cognizant of it, because as you mentioned earlier, like you feel as if you need to, we were discussing earlier, like to schedule in rest, right? And sometimes you have to schedule it in for it to be noticed. That's how I kind of think of some of these holidays for most people, not for me, but for most people, is that it's a time when they can start to reflect on these different things, reflect on family,
Mm.
reflect on joy, reflect on peace, reflect on traditions, so on and so forth. And if that works for you and it makes sense to you, because sometimes we can get into the nature of every day having, getting caught up in life, so to speak. So for those of us that get caught up in life, this is a time for us to really reflect on these different things that we don't have, and to carry it forward. And I think we spoke about this last year. I think last year we spoke about actually carrying it forward. Things like, the feeling of family, the feeling of love, the feeling of presence, so on and so forth. So just reflect on it and see how we can take this little piece of our, not you have just to wait on Christmas or certain, these certain holidays, but to actually take this year round, brother. What about you?
Man, I like the whole concept of like taking like joy, that the essence of the fruit of the spirit. That's how I'm gonna bring it in that way. I like the thought process of bringing in the fruit of the spirit year round. You know, goodness, long suffering, patience, the essence of it, and then and those caveats that attach themselves to it, being joyous, being one of them. I like that. I think that we should always, and I think that the Christmas spirit, if what we're saying is the Christmas spirit is that we are illuminating the birth of Christ, you know, then yeah, that should be something that's a 365 day of the year type of thing. Um, I agree with that. This is going to be one of my caveats, and it's not because it's Christmas. It's not because it's Christmas, but it's because it is this traditional holiday, and I don't want to come off sounding like paganistic. So Um, but I'll bring you to a scripture though. I will take you to a scripture. Um, I was just looking it up while you were talking because I was just going through this just the other day, man, and something hit me while our discussion was going on, and that's Corinthians, First Corinthians, and this First Corinthians chapter 8 talks about um, idol food, idol, IDOL, as in idolatry, food that's offered to idols, right? And there were certain foods that were offered to idols. They would make these idol sculptures and figures and stone and just of all types of material, and they would lay food out in front of them along with other things that they would lay out. And so some, according to custom, according to tradition, the Jews were not allowed to eat those types of foods because they were offered to idol worshiping. Now, here's the catch, because when Peter was caught up into heaven and saw the great net, which was symbolic of all things that are made by God in our realm. And he saw all types of beasts, and he heard the voice of the Lord speaking to him, saying, "Peter, rise up, kill and eat." And Peter contended with the Holy Spirit and said, "Not so, Lord. Never have I done since I was born." Right? I've always been a Jewish man. I've always upheld the customs and the traditions, etc. And this thing happened to him three times. Before then, the vision was taken up and he was taken to a Gentile household that wanted to worship God. And while he yet spoke, the Holy Ghost fell on all of those people there, and he spoke with new tongues. And at that very moment, he decided and he conferred with the other men that were with him, because he wasn't alone. There was witnesses there, like James. There were other men that was there with him. And he asked them, he said, seeing what that God has not held back his spirit from them, what hinders them from being baptized? And nobody could disagree, because everybody was an eyewitness. Not only were they an eyewitness, but they were a feeling witness, because the movement of the Spirit is a feeling. And so they all felt something in that room. They all were witnesses to the miracle of Christ, right? What does that have to do with idol worship? And what does that have to do with the traditions? And what does that have to do with my statement about me not being paganistic? Well, this is where I want to bring it in. What happened with Peter was that he realized that all these people had the right. What happened with Paul is that Paul had stated that all things are acceptable with thanksgiving. And that goes back to the time of Peter, when God had given him this commission to rise up, kill, and eat. It doesn't matter what kind of beast it was, because God has made everything. So therefore, call not what is clean or unclean. This is the statement of God. And this is what Paul later on began to explain. All right, so what does that mean? All right, here's the scripture, right? And I'll bring it in. Okay, so in chapter 8, verse 8. But meat commendeth us not to God, for neither if we eat are we the better, neither if we eat not are we the worse. But take heed, lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak. For if a man see thee which hast knowledge sit at meat in the idol's temple, shall not the conscience of him which is weak be emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols? And through thy knowledge shall thy weak brother perish, for whom Christ died. But when ye sin so against the brethren and wound their weak conscience, ye sin against Christ. Wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh while the world standeth, lest I make my brother to offend. All right, and so I don't want to go into like this liberal message or anything like that. But my thought process is this. It's like, okay, Paul realizes that it's okay to eat that meat because all things are accepted in Thanksgiving. As a matter of fact, that's just a couple verses up higher. They're all accepted in the Thanksgiving. But if my brother who's watching, if he sees me eating and his conscience is weak, and he decides, oh, you know what? Because Mike's eating that, I'm going to eat it. Because Joel's eating that, I'm going to eat it. And then, but in my mind, I'm like, I'm good. I prayed to God, I'm good. In his mind, he's more like, oh my gosh, I'm sinning. It's me. I've done this wrong. Then me not showing that love and that compassion for him and helping him. Listen, I don't have to eat that meat. So the holiday, when it comes down to the holiday, sometimes just having this day for all of the family and all of the friends to gather together on a Christmas day. I celebrate Christmas every day of the year, but all of my friends and all of my family don't. So me attending this day is a way of bridging a gap, because where their weakness is apparent, that they're unable to serve Christ day by day, 365 days out of the year, on this one day, by celebrating this tradition of families getting together, of families forgiving one another, even if it's just for 5 hours, to be in the same room and to go to a service together, to sit down and eat a meal together, to sit down, play a game, and to talk together. All the world may be burning, but for that one moment, because the tradition is so strong, family members that you haven't seen the entire year show up for a piece of potato pie. this is a great opportunity in my mind to be able to bridge gaps. And so I enjoy this, but I never had even thought about this thing like this, Mike, until I was listening to a room full of 60 plus year olds. And I gave my testimony about something that mattered to me, which was the family aspect of it. And somebody else did, but then they added what would happen in the old days. There would be that grandfather, there would be that uncle that would stop by, and people would disappear into rooms and they would go work out situations and problems within the family. And when they came back out, they would laugh. And I thought about it because I recall many times there was edgy things inside of my own family. But on Christmas Day, all you had to do was show up inside that house, whichever house that was. And when you showed up in that house, somehow, some way, I don't know if it was the prayer, I don't know if it was the food, I don't know if it was the laughter, but something would spark something, and you would be sitting right there with somebody and you'll be making amends. And that right there is powerful enough to make it into a tradition that we will be here. We will make sure that, you know, that camaraderie and love and fellowship is promoted and promulgated. And we will do it as the head of our household because it means so much that this may be the only thing that my child even leans on. Now, God forbid, because I teach my children so much, but that's my point is, and that's why I went that way. You know, I think a little bit differently and I read those scriptures and I see things a little bit differently sometimes than what other people do, but it definitely hit home, you know, and in this case, it's that as long as the people that I love, the people I'm concerned about will rise to go and be a part of a Christmas celebration or Easter celebration or whatever. It matters to me because it's my opportunity to show them Christ, to show them love, to bridge gaps. It's my opportunity. And so, therefore, it's worth it.
Yeah, brother. That's dope. I think to each his own. So, and when you have a traditional family and you want to do it in that kind of way and bridge those type of gaps, I think it's awesome. I see J.R. Silvis also agrees with you in regards to into what you said. And still, I digress, or not digress, but I think that's we're not necessarily aligned on that part of it. But I think to whoever that works out for, that's good.
I love it, brother. So, tell me something. Tell me this. What is something that you remember? I mean, just like think about any Christmas day. What is the thing that you remember that just it reminds you of Christmas or reminds you of love or whatever? What was the most memorable Christmas day or season that you've ever had?
But I mean, like I said, it's never been that important to me. Once again, my birthday is the day before Christmas, so the holidays, the Christmas things, we had my mother had just have my mother around. She, like I said, she enjoyed it. So because she enjoyed it, I enjoyed it. But it wasn't never really that important to me. What about you?
Oh man. So like we've got this new tradition now and it is Monopoly. It's Monopoly, right? So we get Monopoly, and and I'm always it's at my mom's house. So I go to my mom's house, and we get Monopoly, and it started about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. This is definitely not a tradition that we ever saw coming, but it was traditional to try to get somebody to play a game, and normally we will play it. Monopoly is a favorite game of our family, so we get the Monopoly out And one year we're all sitting around, bro. I'm sitting down, my kids are sitting down, my cousins are sitting down, my wife's sitting down, my grandmother's somewhere around, my other grandmother. Everybody's like around in the vicinity because it's getting hot and thick and heavy. I don't lose Monopoly. I'm telling you, I don't lose. We may not finish that game, but I'm not losing. So it is what it is. And if you want to try me, come on, let's go. We'll go to Monopoly. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we're getting there, and I'm doing my thing, man. I'm taking care of business, and all of a sudden, what we have part of our tradition in Monopoly is that we place a $500 bill underneath the go, right? So whoever ends up landing, oh, I don't. So whenever you see that, whenever you land on free parking, you get the $500. Now, any type of thing that is paid civically, then that means that that money goes there too. So $500 can amount to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. I mean, you can bust the bank wide open with this thing. You can save the day. It's like a blessing raining from the Lord, right? In a game, it's crazy. So now check this out. At one point in time, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago, we're playing Monopoly. And when someone gets that money, we see a dollar falling out of the sky, just like that. We're like, hey, what's that? And someone grabs the dollar, right? And we're like, they look at it like, oh, it's a real dollar. That's real money. That's real money, right? And so next thing you know, we go around again, and then another dollar falls. Grab the dollar. Then another one, and then a 5 and a 10. Next thing you know, listen, man, it was mayhem. Kids are jumping all over. We realized that Pop had went into his wallet and grabbed $50 or something like that, and he's tossing money over the Monopoly board. So when you actually win money, you win real money. Oh, it took the game to a whole nother level. People are sandwiching on top of each other. My mother kicked us out the house this year because the last time we landed on the glass table, it never broke. But oh man, that would have been
Got
bad.
close.
Yeah, man, because I mean we're going nuts, and these kids, when you see these kids, they're jumping on top of each other, stepping on their sister's neck. I mean, it's mayhem going on, and so it's become a tradition. So now we just, it's like we're waiting. Everybody's waiting, getting their game on. We're waiting to get to that Monopoly because we know there's probably going to be $100 that's going to be thrown out over the top of that Monopoly board. And you can make away with 20 and $20. You can make some real money on this Monopoly games.
And Susan is asking, do you play the old one or the new electric one?
Oh, old school, Susan.
I didn't even know they
Yeah.
had an electric one.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We have in our family we probably have about five. I think I have personally about 6 or 7 different monopolies. I got a Black Panther one. I think I told you guys about that maybe a few years ago. A Black Panther Guardians of the Galaxy. I got a SpongeBob. I got the credit card one. I got the high stakes one. I got the regular one, and I may have one more, but that's at least 6 right there.
So
Old school one's the best one, Susan. Suzanne, I'm sorry, Suzanne.
Suzanne
Good
said
to
that's
see
the
you.
best
Merry
one.
Christmas, sweetie.
Happy holidays, Suzanne. Oh man, so heck of a time for those of you who are able to get into traditions like Joel does and believes in that. I mean there's something awesome to bring the family together as Monopoly. I know a lot of people sit around and watch the football games that are coming off. Some people have big dinners that they have for Christmas. Um, hey, get around family, get around loved ones. Those especially when they're coming from out of town, so on and so forth. What else? What else we got before we finish this thing up?
Oh man, we can go ahead and start wrapping it up, brother. We don't want to keep the people too long during this time of the year. You know, uh, it's all good. Another shout out to Tara. Yeah,
Yeah, Tara just
yeah.
got a double shout out. Shouts out to Tara.
Woo! There it is, Tara. That's what I'm talking about.
Next
Yeah.
week, I guess the next week is Christmas. I want everyone to have a happy holidays. Be safe. I've noticed. I've noticed especially here in Palm Beach, the traffic is crazy. People are aiming to get somewhere, and sometimes they're not paying attention to you. So please, sometimes you got to pay attention for yourself, and you got to pay attention for others, right? So be safe out there on the roads. Enjoy your family and friends. I don't know, brother. What else you got until next week?
Yeah, next week we're just going to be preparing for the new year. I hope that you all are preparing. Remember that, this season, this time of the year is not so much about buying gifts. It's an opportunity for you to spend some time with your family. A lot of places will give you time off from work. So even if you don't celebrate Christmas, you still have the opportunity of spending some time with your family. Take that time, spend some time with your family. You never know, that might be the last day you see them, because life is not promised to any of us, right? And for that matter, maybe call somebody that you love today. What Jomer said, here in the Philippines, we have a tradition called Noche Buena. I celebrate Noche Buena as well. We stay up until midnight on the 25th. Then we all eat together, play games, and exchange gifts. Yeah, I celebrate Noche Buena too. I sure do. Yeah, my wife is Cuban, so I love that, Jomer. Thanks for sharing, buddy.
Appreciate you, Joma. That's it, guys. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other, and we will see you next week.
All right. God bless.